As they say down south, it ain't over till it's over, and Georgia is no exception, with now 7 weeks before it's time for runoffs for both of Georgia's Senate seats. In one corner, it's Republican incumbent David Perdue versus Democrat Jon Ossoff. In the other corner, Republican incumbent Kelly Loeffler versus Democrat Reverend Raphael Warnock. These are two races that could ultimately sway control of the Senate chamber in the new year. And what happens in Georgia ultimately determines if Joe Biden's agenda will become reality or remain another Democratic pipe dream. NBC's Sahil Kapoor is following the latest for us from Atlanta. Sahil, good to see you. The two Republicans running in Georgia are joining together in a so-called unity ticket. Can you talk me through their strategy and whether or not Democrats are considering doing something similar?
Alicia, the two Republican senators, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, are essentially running together, saying this is no longer about their individual candidacies or seats, and this is now about keeping the Senate in Republican hands. Now, this is a bit of a delicate dance they're doing because they're careful not to contradict President Trump's refusal to concede defeat in the election for fear of alienating his voters. Remember, they need those people to turn out. So they're not really contradicting the president, but they are essentially saying in the subtext that Joe Biden is going to be the next president, and they're calling the Senate the Republican firewall. As long as it stays in Republican hands, they will be able to control the agenda, and this should not be thought of as simply one vote here, two votes here or there. This is a matter of whether the Senate agenda will be run by Mitch McConnell, the Republican who can control what pieces of legislation and what cabinet nominees come up, or whether it'll be an ally of President-elect Biden in Chuck Schumer who will make those decisions. So the stakes are really enormous here.
Right. There seems to be some disagreement about whether or not you can look at the turnout you had in Georgia, the composition of the electorate that turned out for this presidential race and for this early Senate race, and whether or not that is going to transpose onto this second round of this election. And so I wonder what you are hearing, both about what both parties are expecting and the organizing they believe they will have to do in order to turn out the voters that they need to secure these seats.
There is an enormous amount of uncertainty here, Alicia, given that President Trump has so dominated American political life for 4 years, and now he is not going to be on the ballot. So Democrats are wondering, is their turnout going to flag as it traditionally does? Was this massive turnout that powered Joe Biden to victory in this historically red state a one-off because Trump was on the ballot, or is it something they can hold? They're not leaving anything to chance. I talked to party officials and labor leaders who say that they're going to be sending mailers to every voter. They're going to be registering new voters. The Ossoff campaign tells me they're going to be trying to register young voters who just turned 18 after Election Day. So they're working very hard to do this, and Republicans are just astonished. Many of them I've spoken to are just shell-shocked that this traditionally red state has now apparently gone for, well, I shouldn't say apparently, NBC News has called it, gone for Joe Biden at the presidential level, and they are eager and desperate to make sure that their voters turn out. That's a big part of why they're trying to elevate these contests as no longer about one or two seats. They're saying it's about the Republican ability to have kind of a restriction or blockade on parts of the Biden agenda that conservatives don't want passed.
All right. Sahil Kapoor, thank you so much for joining us. It is good to see you out there in Georgia.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.